Meanwhile, a good one to lead off. Felipe Lopez hitting .306. 4 home runs, 10 runs batted in, and we're about ready to get this one underway. Randy Wolf coming off a wonderful start, went 7 innings of 1-run ball and beat the Cubs 2-1. And his first pitch is banged into left field for a base hit. Juan Pierre is up with it, gets it back in. So Felipe Lopez opens up with a single to left. Let's take a look at the Dodgers with the leather, and they shape up without any surprises. Pierre, Kemp, and Ethier in the outfield. Blake, Furcal, Hudson, and Loney, and the battery of Wolf and Ausmus. 70 degrees at the start of tonight, and of course Ausmus hoped for better luck than Russell Martin last night. They had to chase down 5 wild pitches. The Dodgers tying a franchise record that went back to 1918. Here's Ryan Roberts, right-hand batter, hitting .361. Randy's first pitch is a ground ball by a diving Loney into right field, and down to second base goes Lopez. So just like that, Randy Wolf has made 2 pitches. He's given up 2 hits, and he has runners at first and second and nobody out. And now the big boys come up, Upton, Reynolds, and Burns. Justin Upton had one of those nights last night. From the last week in April to the end of May, he was hitting .373. But last night he struck out twice, flied out, hit into a double play. His average at .322, 9 home runs, 29 runs batted in. There was an old song, I think, from Paint Your Wagon, I Talked to the Trees. Well, last night we all got a kick. We saw Justin Upton talking to his helmet. That was one of the great moments in baseball history. Upton, meanwhile, takes a strike, and the count 0-1. Yeah, last night, after striking out and hitting into a double play, went into the dugout, took his helmet, turned it around, and began to talk to it, as if the helmet had done him wrong. So Upton out there now, 0-1 the count. Randy Wolf ready and comes back. Breaking ball swung on and missed, and the count 0-2. The young Justin, whose brother B.J. making news in the American League. For the D-backs, they have been hitting better of late. The first 29 games, the team hit .222, and for A.J. Hinch now, they've picked up and hit .262. They've also done much better with runners in scoring position. So we'll see what Upton done. He has that situation, and the pitch inside runs under the hands, and the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Randy with a record of 3-1. He is 7-3 against Arizona in his career. He's had 1 start this year against them way back in April. Went 7 innings, allowed 1 run, 2 hits, and picked up the win. Randy hides the ball for the moment. Now set. Another check of the runners. And the 1-2 fastball is high. And a 2-ball, 2-strike count. So the D-backs trying to get well, needless to say. When you look at the Dodger record, you realize that this game tonight marks 1/3 of the season. This is the 54th game. Now the 2-2 pitch on the way. Randy delivers, breaking ball low, and now he's gone 3-2. The Wolf a little annoyed with himself, giving up singles to Lopez and Roberts. Now going 3-2 to Upton. Upton, among other things, strikes out a lot. Mark Reynolds is on deck, who strikes out even more. Upton has struck out 49 times. Reynolds has struck out 72. So Wolf hiding the ball, looks in to get a sign, making the right-hand hitter wait, and Upton says, "I'm waiting too long," and backs out of the box. Now Randy and Brad Ausmus put their heads together. So there's a lot of baseball thought there. Wolf 32 and Ausmus 40. 3-2 the count to Upton. You wonder about A.J. Hinch with strikeout hitters back to back. Would he run Lopez and Roberts? Well, we'll find out in a moment, as one of the youngest managers in quite a while at the wheel for Arizona. The runners do not go, and the pitch is fouled away. A note about A.J. Hinch. We were talking about the fact last night that Bucky Harris was the youngest manager that we could think of. He was 27 when he took over the Washington Senators. Roger Peckinpah was a player manager with the New York Yankees at the age of 23. That was just for 1 year. All right, another 3-2 count on the way. Randy delivers, and he is low, and he's gotten himself in a mess now. Bases loaded, nobody out, and the big boys Reynolds, Burns, and Young coming up. So a disquieting beginning for Joe Torre and the Dodgers. Mark Reynolds is the feast or famine hitter. Last night, he walked, hit into a force play, struck out twice. With the bases loaded, he has inclined to press, hitting only 182. But he still has enough talent with 72 strikeouts to have 13 home runs and 31 runs batted in. So Wolf set at the belt, ready, and delivers, and an off-speed pitch with a little dip at the end of it. Ball one. Not much of a curve. It was actually under 60 miles an hour. Reynolds is 2 for 10 against the left-hander, and he has touched up Wolf for 1 home run. So Lopez, Roberts, and Upton are all out on the lines. Nobody out. And the 1-0 pitch on the way is swung on, fisted foul off to the right and out of play. It'll go right down into the Arizona dugout. 1-1 the count to Mark Reynolds. Reynolds last night made 2 marvelous plays to take extra base hits away from Russell Martin, but he was playing third base. And then late in the game last night, he finished up at first. So he's a very talented young player, and he is only 25. He'll be 26 in August. 1-1 the count to Mark Reynolds. Out of a stretch goes Randy Wolf. Bases loaded, nobody out. 1-1 pitch is at Reynolds' feet. Ball 2. In his last game, 7 innings against Chicago, Randy walked 1 and struck out 7. And here he is in the first inning. He's given up 2 singles and a walk. Lopez at third, Roberts at second, and Upton at first. 2-1 the count. Reynolds in and out of the box. Now checks back in. Wolf pitching out of his stretch, hiding the ball back of his left hip. Reynolds waits. Wolf at the belt. And the next pitch, a check swing foul off to the right of the plate. Reynolds, muttering to himself, shook his head, did not want to swing, and it's a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Reynolds, with 72 strikeouts, has walked more times than anyone else in the Arizona lineup. He's walked 25 times. All right, Mark back up and waiting. The pride of Pikeville, Kentucky. And the 2-2 pitch is swung on, a little roller wide at third. Blake is up with it. The only play to first. Scoring is Lopez, and the other runners move up. And just like that, Reynolds on a little ground ball picks up a run batted in, and the D-backs have jumped out in front. Lopez carried it over. Roberts went down to third, and over to second goes Upton. And with 1 away, Eric Burns will be coming up. Well, we've been talking about young managers with A.J. Hinch. Here's another one. Lou Boudreau took over the Cleveland Indians, and I assume he was a player manager. 24 years old. So they get younger every time we check. And here is Burns, the Bruin from UCLA. And the first pitch with first base open, a slow hook in there for a strike. And the count 0-1. 2 years ago, Burnsy had 21 home runs and 50 stolen bases, including 30 straight. The 2050 club, you have Ricky Henderson, Joe Morgan, Eric Davis. Now the strike 1 pitch, and Burns looks, and that's a strike, and the count 0-2. Eric hitting .214. He has really not been the same since he damaged a hamstring. 2 years ago, he had 21 home runs, 83 RBIs. Last year, 6 home runs, 23. So he's turned around quite a bit, trying to get well now. The strike 2 pitch, and Burns fouls it back. So he's still there, 0-2. A roar of the crowd. Somebody made a good catch. So Burns at 6'2" and 210, 33 years old. Born in Redwood City up north, lives in Woodside. His father was a karate master and a tennis player. Mom was a tennis player and a skier, so he's got a lot of good athletic genes. Now the strike 2 pitch coming up to Eric Burns. Wolf deals inside at the knees to drive him off the plate, and the count 1-2. If you joined us late, it's a tough first inning for Randy Wolf. Lopez hit the first pitch for a single to left. Roberts hit the first pitch for a single to right. Then he went 3-2 and walked Upton. Reynolds grounded out with the run coming over. And with runners at second and third, here is Eric Burns. 1-2 to the right-hand batter. Wolf reading Ausmus, but taking too long to turn the pages, so Eric Burns backs out. So Randy Wolf trying to use a little guile here as well as his fastballs and curves. Left-hander ready, and the 1-2 pitch on the way, swung on and fouled back. Sharp breaking pitch down and in, and Burns just did stay alive by fouling it off. For Eric, hitting .214, 4 home runs, 18 runs batted in, playing in his 44th game. They asked Eric Burns, were you a very good tennis player? And he said, I was like John McEnroe. I was good, but I threw my racket all the time. I guess he had a short temper. 1-2 the count to Eric Burns. Wolf delivers, broken back comebacker. Wolf goes low to third, and they have Roberts in a rundown. Blake tags him out. He is out for running out of the baseline. So a good heads-up play. Randy Wolf and Casey Blake getting the put out, and Roberts is shot down. So Burns breaks his bat and reaches on the fielder's choice. And Wolf a heady play, and Blake was right there to cut Roberts off at the pass, faked a couple of times and tagged him out. All the while, Upton had nowhere to go, so the D-backs have runners at first and second, 2 out, and Chris Young coming up. Chris Young struck out twice, hit into a force play, and fouled out last night. And for Chris Young, he just can't wait to get home. I mean, he has had a terrible time on the road, hitting far less than 100. Right hand hitting center fielder, and the first breaking ball in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Young waiting at the plate. 1 run in, and it's 1-0 Arizona. Upton at second, Burns at first with 2 out. Young in and out of the box. Now checks back in again. Came into last night's game hitting .094 on the road, and he went 0 for 4. Hits a little foul off to the right. That's out of play. Lands on the Arizona roof and bounces well back into the stands. So 0-2 the count to Chris Young. Young in and out of the box now, takes a little walk. Out of Houston, Texas. Randy trying to get him and get out of the wreckage cheaply enough. Upton and Burns taking their leads. Wolf a long look into Ausmus, and that's too long for Chris Young. Chris, right hand hitter waiting. Slender, 6'2", about 180. And the strike 2 pitch on the way is swung on. A high fly ball to center, heading for the glove of Matt Kemp. So when you look at it, 2 hits, a walk, bases loaded, nobody out. Wolf just gives up 1, and the D-backs lead 1-0. And we go to the bottom of the first inning with Arizona leading by that single digit. The Dodgers this way on their lineup: Juan Pierre, Rafael Furcal, and Orlando Hudson. James Loney hits cleanup with Casey Blake at third. Andre Ethier in right field. Matt Kemp in center batting seventh. Brad Ausmus hits eighth, and Randy Wolf on the mound. On the mound for the D-backs is Dan Haren. Haren will be 29 in the middle of September. Born in Monterey Park, lives in West Covina, and went to school at Pepperdine. An outstanding pitcher. Had won 16 games for the D-backs last year. And the ratio of strikeouts to walks is unbelievable. 9 walks, 71 strikeouts. Juan Pierre takes a look at a strike, and we're underway. 0-1 the count. So Dan Haren was signed originally by the Cardinals 8 years ago into his windup and comes back with a fastball low and a 1-ball, 1-strike count. The amazing Juan Pierre, the surprising Juan Pierre. As big a fan as you might be, you certainly wouldn't expect him to be hitting .382, but that's what he brings up to the plate. 1-1 pitch, checks on a breaking ball low, ball 2, 2-1 the count. Pierre last night continued the magic. He had 3 more hits and a stolen base. Now the 2-1 pitch on the way. Juan swings a high drive to center, but Chris Young is there, waits for it to come down and puts it away. So Pierre a fly ball to center. So let's take a look at the D-backs defensively, and they shake up this way. With Haren on the mound, you have Reynolds, Lopez, Ojeda, and Roberts on the infield. Burns, Young, and Upton in the outfield, and Haren is being handled by Chris Snyder behind the plate. Rafael Furcal checking in at the plate. Rafael did not start last night, came into the game late as a pinch hitter, and wound up going 2 for 2. So he's hitting .253. Haren without a windup. The tall right-hander sends the first pitch in for a strike. In looking at the Dodgers, and for instance for Call, Rafael hitting .267. Blake, Ethier, and Kemp have all hit Haren in the past. The next pitch to Furcal is a little high. 1 ball and 1 strike. So Rafael, given most of last night off, that was a rough Sunday night game in Chicago, the long flight home, etc. The 1-1 pitch, Rafael hits a chopper to first, backhanded there by Reynolds, and Mark takes it to the bag. Just like that, 2 down. If you happen to feel a little hilt in the background music provided by Nancy B. Heffley, well, we salute her and her wonderful husband Bill, celebrating 52 years of marital bliss. Aren't they lucky indeed? God bless them both. He has, hasn't he? Way to go, Nancy B. Play pretty for the people. 1-0 D-backs, 2 out in the first inning, and Orlando Hudson checking in. The old dog had a marvelous month of May, and for that matter, he's had a marvelous April to go along with it, hitting .332. Dan Haren ready and snaps a fastball off the plate, ball 1. 1-0. Hudson against a former teammate is 2 for 10. So Orlando waiting. Haren turns on the rubber, then seems to just stop for a second to gather himself before pitching to the plate, and the count 1-2. When Dan was in high school, he played 1 year of football. He was about the size of a middle linebacker, but his dad didn't want him to play. Dad pretty much of a hands-on father coach who pitched a lot of extra batting practice, and he became a pitcher. The 1-1 pitch, and Hudson takes very high. 2-1. When Haren went to Pepperdine, he got there to hit, and he got thrown into pitching because that's something they needed, and Dan said, well, I just stuck with it. The 2-1 pitch, Hudson fouls that back, and the count 2-2. And in Dan Haren's final year, he was a second-team All-American as a utility player, believe it or not. Noah Lowry, who was a first-round pick with the Giants, teamed up with Haren to give Pepperdine one of the best pitching tandems in college baseball. 2-2 pitch on the way. Dan comes over the top. Good fastball. That jumped in there at 93. And Hudson frozen. And Herron walks off, retiring the side in order with a strikeout. At the end of an inning, 1-0 Arizona. Out in the first inning, and they were fortunate to score one, and they lead 1-0 as we go to the second inning. Chris Snyder, Augie Ojeda, and Dan Herron coming up. Chris Snyder has been swinging a hot bat of late. He's hit safely in 8 out of 10, and over that stretch batting .310 to get his overall average to .240. Big right-hand hitter, has a look at a strike. Snyder 6'3" and at least .230. He really started to hit well the last week in April. Strike one pitch on the way. Snyder looks and takes inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. The last 23 games, he's hit .309. He has 10 extra base hits, including 5 home runs. Snyder takes a breaking ball strike, and the count 1-2. Also, Chris with 16 runs batted in. His non-base percentage of .422. So everything he has done since the 27th of April, he has really exploded. Now the 1-2 pitch on the way, pulled foul outside of third. Chip Hale ducks without unfolding his arms. That's cool. Still 1-2. Snyder, a marvelous defensive catcher. He can go forever without committing an error. I know he had a stretch of at least 121 games without an error. Here's the 1-2 pitch coming up, and it's a fastball hit foul, and I think he cracked the bat. Yes, he did. So Snyder has to go and get another. Didn't break it, but you could just hear it twang up here. Chris out of Houston, Texas, went to the University of Houston, still lives there, and was originally drafted by the Mariners, but opted to accept a scholarship to Houston. And then eventually, when he did sign, signed as a second-round pick by Arizona. In December of '08, Snyder and the D-backs agreed to a 3-year extension, and there's an option for a 4th. So the big guy figures to be around. He is 28 years old. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Randy Wolf ready, back with an off-speed pitch fouled away. Though it's still 1-2. That changeup thrown a little harder than that big slow curve. Randy's straight change was clocked at 79. That slow curveball can get down to 59. Wolf 3 wins, 1 loss, and 8 no decisions. Left-hander ready, and the 1-2 pitch to Chris Snyder. Fastball down and away, and that evens up the count. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Snyder has a tendency to shrink up there at the plate. Bends at the knees, gets a little round-shouldered. Off-speed curveball. Did he swing? No, he didn't, said first base umpire Angel Campos. Bill Snyder is hitting 3-2. Joe Torre pretty quiet, gesturing with the right hand as if that was the bat and that he had gone through. When Bob Melvin was here and his hitting coach Kevin Seitzer 2 years ago had to remind Snyder that he was a big man. They wanted him to go up there and be more aggressive. He fouls another pitch away. So 3-2. Chris Snyder battling Randy Wolf. How have they done in the past? Snyder's 2 for 5 against him. That would be a .400 batting average. Randy ready. Here he comes 3-2, and it is low and away. Ball 4. So Chris Snyder wins that duel. That was a 10-pitch at bat.
Next, shortstop number 11, Augie Ojeda.
It's also 2 walks and 2 hits given up by Randy Wolf with nobody out in the second inning. Augie Ojeda, the switch hitter who can play a lot of places out there, playing shortstop tonight. Ojeda came off the bench last night and doubled into the gap in deepest right center. He has a look at a strike, and the count 0-1. Augie was born in Los Angeles, makes his home in Southgate, but when he decided to go to school, he went all the way to the University of Tennessee on a scholarship. Snyder takes his lead at first. Wolf looks over there and goes over there. You don't expect a big catcher like Chris Snyder to steal any bases, and he hasn't. However, Wolf is trying to make sure they don't put a play on, hit and run, so he's going to take a step away from Snyder if at all possible. Ojeda, switch hitter, batting right-handed, hitting .267, drives one down the left field line, foul, and well back in the lower deck. So Wolf working on a smaller man, but Augie hit that a long way. Augie is 5'8", weighs 175. Did not hit a home run last year. Did hit one the year before. Way back he was with the Cubs, and he hit a couple. 0-2 the count to Augie Ojeda. Wolf comes back on the hands, fouled away to Chip Hale. So the third base coach handles it and then feeds it into the stands to a young girl. And a no ball, 2 strike count. Ojeda will be 35 in December. Originally drafted by the Orioles, but came up with the Cubs. No balls and 2 strikes. Out of a stretch goes Wolf. Randy delivers. Breaking ball, foul back. Off speed, that slow curve. Among other things, going to the University of Tennessee. Augie was saying he wants to one day return when his playing days are over and earn his degree in sports management. And among other things in his career, Augie played for the United States Olympic team. Now the strike 2 pitch on the way. Ojeda swings, pops it up. On the right side, it will be Orlando Hudson, and we have one away. So that'll bring up Dan Herron. Remember, Herron was a good all-around player at Pepperdine, and he can be dangerous with the bat. Dan has 4 hits, 3 runs batted in, and has struck out less than a third of the time. He can be a problem. The Dodgers expect him to bunt. You have Snyder at first with 1 out. Herron with the bat has 1 sacrifice, so we'll see. Throw to first, and thinking bunt or hit and run. Snyder has to grin the fact that they're going over there as if you fill in the gap for a base stealer. He has never stolen a base in his major league career. Zip, nada. But they're keeping an eye on him. And another throw. So racehorse Chris Snyder back on the bag. But again, they're trying to pay it off on a possible bunt or hit and run and take a step away from Chris. Snyder, 5 years ago when he was at El Paso, stole 3 bases. Ground ball into right field, base hit. Snyder to second and holding. So Dan Herron, still thinking he's a utility player at Pepperdine, grounds a single to right. Lorenzo Bundy over there to greet him. And just like that, Randy Wolf in the soup again. First and second, 1 out, and Felipe Lopez coming up. Lopez hit the very first pitch of the game for a base hit into left field. Though Randy was fortunate with the bases loaded and nobody out. Reynolds grounded out the run scored. He broke Burns' bat, and they got Robertson a rundown, and then he got Young on a fly ball. Now he's right back in trouble. Left-hander ready, delivers, down and dirty, blocked by Brad Ausmus. They'll put a new ball in play. 1 ball and no strikes. It's amazing how the same player doing the same thing can look so different. But that's the nature of the game. Wolf, who was turning in a masterpiece against Chicago, is really struggling here tonight. But down only 1-0. Lopez waiting. He has 4 home runs, hitting .309. Switch hitter and very, very consistent. Hitting just about the same from either side of the plate. Hits a bouncer into right field for a base hit, but they're not going to run Snyder as Ethier gets the ball into Loney. So now in the blink of an eye, the bases are loaded again. So Lopez, who singled to left field in the first inning, singles to right field here in the second. And with the bases loaded and nobody out in the first inning, the D-backs got 1. Now they have the bases loaded with 1 out in the second inning, and Ryan Roberts will be coming up. Now, we've mentioned the inability of the D-backs to hit with runners in scoring position. Going into this inning, AJ's club was 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position. So they're in a chance to get a bunch as Roberts checks in at the plate. Right-hand hitter batting .371, takes low and inside, ball 1, 1-0. When Roberts starts, and this is like his 10th start, the D-backs have won 6 out of 9. He is heavily into tattoos, as we mentioned, and is very obvious if you're watching the game on TV. The 1-0 pitch is popped in the air, back to first and foul ground. Loney goes back, makes the catch. Snyder tags, but Loney, instead of throwing the ball, just runs it back to the infield. So Ryan Roberts fouls out to Loney. 2 down, and the batter is Justin Upton. So Randy Wolf is really doing a high wire act in a windstorm. So far, he's getting by. Upton walked on a 3-2 pitch in the first inning. So Randy Wolf with the bases loaded, Snyder at third, Aaron at second, and Lopez at first, and the right hand hitting Upton at the plate, way out in front of the first pitch. Boy, you talk about guessing fastball, and he got a changeup, and I mean, he started his swing tomorrow morning. He was so far out in front. 0-1 the count. Young Justin without any slams in his career, but he'll hit some before he's through. So Snyder, Herron, and Lopez are out there. Strike 1 pitch on the way. A fastball hit in the air to left center. Back goes Pierre. There it is. His first grand slam of his career. And the D-backs lead 5-0. So Justin Upton will not have to talk to his helmet now. Not after his first slam. And Randy Wolf beside himself, standing on the grass behind the mound, as Upton got a ball about at the knees, and as soon as he hit it, he let that bat go. He knew that was going for the distance, and it wound up in the hands of a father who gave the ball to his son, and there's a lot of joy out there. It doesn't compare to the joy in the Arizona dugout. 5-0 D-backs. And the batter now will be Mark Reynolds. Mark Reynolds grounded to third, picked up a run batted in the first inning. Randy Wolf delivers, and that's swung on and missed, and the count 0-1. 5 runs, 5 hits for the D-backs. No runs, no hits for the Dodgers. You know, the Dodgers have a team batting average #1 in the majors, 287. Reynolds swings and misses. They're also #1 in the National League in runs scored, 289. But they'll put all of that on line tonight as they are severely handicapped. 5-0 Arizona, second inning. Randy into the windup, and the strike 2 fastball is snapped low. 1-2 the count. So the bases loaded, nobody out in the first inning. The D-backs get 1. Bases loaded and 2 out in the second. They get 4. And the 1-2 pitch on the way is swung on and missed. Down goes Reynolds, but it's too little too late. And the D-backs at the end of an inning and a half, thanks to young Justin Upton's grand slam, lead the Dodgers 5-0. That's right, 21. Hits his first grand slam in the majors, and the D-backs lead 5-0 as Dan Herron works away to James Loney. 1 ball and no strike. By the way, in thinking about a grand slam, how about this one? Randy Wolf has allowed 4 grand slams in his career. The 1-0 pitch fouled away. But he had not allowed one in 7 years until tonight. And for the D-backs and Upton, they weren't hanging around. Upton, remember, way out in front of a changeup, and then the second pitch, he hit it out. All 5 hits against Randy have come on either the first or second pitch. And Loney takes low. In fact, when the game began, Lopez hit the first pitch for a base hit to left. Roberts hit the first pitch for a base hit to right. 2-1 the count. Back comes Herron, and that's fouled off to the left. Loney hitting .284, and Herron with a 5-0 lead, and that magnificent collection of numbers. Again, hard to believe. When he struck out Hudson, that gave him 72 strikeouts as opposed to 9 walks. Dan ready, and the 2-2 pitch to Loney, and James swings, fouls it back. And just to show the athleticism of Herron, Remember, he had that 1-out single to right field to extend the inning. For Randy Wolf, he's now made 49 pitches in 2 innings. The 2-2 pitch. Loney hits one foul outside of first down the line, and the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. Loney trying to lead the Dodgers back, and they are a long way back. James 0 for 3 last night. 2-2 pitch on the way is swung on. Ground ball to the right side. Felipe Lopez will make the play. And we have 1 out in the 2nd inning. You know, the Dodgers finished this homestand with the Padres Wednesday, June 10th. The first 50,000 fans in attendance will take home a Dodger jersey cooler bag, compliments of AM/PM. To secure your seat, visit Dodgers.com or give us a call, 866-DODGERS. Here's Casey Blake, and he looks at the first pitch a little high. 1 ball and no strikes. For Casey Blake, he has hit well against Herron when they were both in the American League. 1-0 pitch on the way, fastball on the inside corner. Casey hitting .385 against Herron, .300 for the year against the league. Dan ready, and his 1-1 pitch on the way, and that's a fastball in there, and a 1-2 count. So Dan Herron tough enough anyway, but now with the comfort zone of a 5-0 lead. Herron's 1-2 pitch on the way is off the plate, and the count 2-2. You know, a couple of years ago, Herron made history. He gave up 8 runs in the first 2 innings of the game, the A's against Toronto, and Oakland bailed him out. Here's the 2-2 pitch, swung on, ground ball to third. Brian Roberts is up with it, throws him out. 2 down. It was a rather unusual victory for Herron, the first pitcher in American League history to win a game after allowing 8 runs in the first 2 innings. Well, maybe we ought to take a page out of Herron's book and give it to Randy Wolf to let him know that, well, almost no lead can't be overcome. So 2 ground balls and Andre Ethier checking in. 5 in a row retired by Herron. D-backs lead 5-0. And the pitch is swung on and belted. I mean, that thing is gone into halfway up in right field. So Andre Ethier all over a Dan Herron pitch for Andre, his 7th home run. 31 runs batted in, and it is 5-1 D-backs. So Andre Ethier got a ball down, and he drives it halfway up the bleachers in right field. 5-1 D-backs in the 2nd inning. For Dan Herron, by the way, that would be the 9th home run that he has allowed. And as we said, for Andre, it's been a while. His last home run was against Arizona and Doug Davis. So he went 24 games and then connects with 2 out here in the 2nd inning. Matt Kemp takes ball 1. 1-0 to Matt, hitting .310. Herron comes back 1-0, and a fastball is swung on and missed. 1 ball and 1 strike. Herron's 1-1 pitch to Matt Kemp. Right-handed deals, and that's a little low. 2-1 to count. So Andre Ethier, who has been struggling, wakes them all up with that long home run. The last 23 games, Andre has been hitting just .169. 2-1 pitch, and that's taken for a strike. Kemp hesitating, took a fastball, but it wasn't a usual Herron fastball. That was in the 80s. And Kemp kind of backs out. Now back up there again. The 2-2 pitch on the way. It's swung on and foul back. So Matt's still there with 2 out. 2-2 the count. Matt Kemp has hit safely in 12 of his last 13, and over that stretch hitting over .400. So Matt 2 for 4 last night. Aaron ready, hesitates. Now the 2-2 pitch is golfed at and missed, and down goes Kemp. 1 run for the Dodgers on the home run by Andre Ethier, and at the end of 2, the D-backs have a grand slam for 5, and the Dodgers have 1. Here to get the Dodgers on the board. It is 5-1 Arizona, and Eric Burns will start it off against Randy Wolf, and his off-speed pitch for a strike, and the count 0-1. Burnsy aboard on a fielder's choice, broke his bat on a comebacker, and Wolf got Roberts in a rundown between third and home. Burns takes away, 1 ball and 1 strike. So the D-backs snapping a 7-game losing streak at Dodger Stadium last night. Now Burns hits one in the air. Coming down the line is Loney in foul ground to make the catch. And 1 away. Randy Wolf came off the mound into foul ground and acted as if say, is there anybody here? And then Loney came down and made an easy play. 1 out. The batter will be Chris Young. We've told the story many times. Chris Young and James Loney, 2 different high schools in Houston, bitter rivals, played against each other, etc. And here they are in the big leagues. Young takes onto the elbows, but he catches the inside corner. Young doesn't say anything, but he looks back at Buckner. C.B. Buckner, born in Jamaica in the West Indies. Strike 1 pitch on the way, and that's a little low. Nice thing that C.B. Buckner did after the season last year. He went back to Jamaica and refurbished and restored homes for senior citizens. The next pitch to Young is hit foul down the right field line, well out of play. 1-2 the count. So C.B. Buckner, 10 years in the big leagues, went to school at State University in New York. He's in the Cortland Athletic Hall of Fame, but for all the work that he has done, he's a good man. 1-2 pitch, ground ball slowly to Blake. Casey picks it up. He has to hurry because Young runs very well and throws him out. 2 down. You know, the Dodgers and the D-backs tomorrow night at 7. That will be Chad Billingsley and John Garland. The first 20,000 in attendance take home an individually numbered Orlando Hudson the Cyclist poster, compliments of KLOS. Commemorate Hudson's opening day cycle. Visit Dodgers.com or call the familiar number 866 Dodgers. And the first pitch now to Chris Snyder. Slow hook in for a strike, 0-1. You know, just to talk a little bit more about Buckner without getting in the way, show you what a man can do besides umpiring. Strike one pitch, and Snyder drives one to right center. Ethier moving over, not to the track, and makes the catch. Buckner, among other things, collected toys, organized a treat day, a holiday party for more than 400 children in Jamaica. We should salute him. D-backs lead 5-1. Brought to you by Infinity, luxury cars that inspire at every turn. Dan Herron and the D-backs leading the Dodgers and Randy Wolf 5-1. Bottom of the third, Brad Osmus, Randy Wolf, and Juan Pierre checking in now against the big right-hander. Brad Osmus has collected a base hit in all of his starts, though he's hit safely in 7 previous starts. Right-hand hitting veteran catcher takes a strike, and the count 0-1. Brad hitting .344, and again for the Dodgers, it is a marvelous story of the so-called backup players and how well they have played. Strike one pitch on the way is taken a little low, 1-1. I mean, Brad Osmus has done a great job. Juan Castro has done a great job. And of course, Juan Pierre, given an opportunity in left field, has been absolutely magical. Third inning, 5-1 D-backs. Osmus checks up on a pitch inside. No swings, says Angel Campos. 2-1 the count to the man from Dartmouth, Brad Osmus. In watching Osmus all these years, reminds me a little bit of A.J. Hinch in one way. The 2-1 pitch is taken for a strike. When A.J. Hinch played, all they talked about was how smart he was. Well, with Brad Osmus, as long as he's been playing, everybody says how smart he is, what a great manager he would make. We'll see. 2-2 pitch on the way. And Osmus hesitates, times a breaking ball, grounds it to Ryan Roberts, who throws him out. So one away here in the third inning, and the batter will be Randy Wolf. So Herron had a base hit against Randy, and that eventually led to the grand slam. And we'll see now what Randy can do in return. Both of them going to Pepperdine. Herron has a lot of pitches. In other words, when you watch Randy, fastball, very slow curve, straight change. But Herron has a handful of pitches and gets a strike. He has a four-seamer. He has a sinking two-seamer, a cutter to left-hand hitters, and he came up with a great splitter. The pitch is low, 1 ball, 1 strike. Add the splitter to a slider, a spiked curveball where you use your knuckle and a good changeup. I mean, that's a whole shelf in the Library of Congress. The 1-1 pitch on the way, swung on and fouled back. Randy hesitating, didn't go through with his swing. 1-2 the count. Randy Wolf will be 33. Dan Herron will be 29. Now, there was a separation of years at Pepperdine. Randy takes low and inside. 2-2 the count. On deck, Juan Pierre. 5-1 Arizona. We're in the bottom of the third inning. Beautiful evening. 70 degrees at the start of the game. And the 2-2 pitch, fastball high, ball 3. Now remember, Herron, it's an old line, gives up walks as easily as he would give up a tattoo. Herron has walked 9 and struck out 72. But he goes 3-2 to the opposite number. Juan Pierre waits his turn. 3-2 pitch to Randy Wolf, swung on and lifted to straightaway center. Chris Young is there waiting, and one hands it for the out. And we have 2 down in the third. The batter will be Juan Pierre.
For the Dodgers, left fielder number 9, Juan Pierre.
Juan Pierre fly to center in the first inning. 0 for 1. Coming off a 3-hit game last night. Pierre coming into the game 3 for 8. Though he is 3 for 9 against Herron. That's a .333 average. And Juan overall hitting .380. Left-hand hitter, they have to pull up the corners. Thought of a bunt. And the pitch to Juan, he shows bunt and takes low, ball 1. 1-0. 5 runs, 5 hits for the D-backs. The big blow, grand slam home run by right fielder Justin Upton. Now the pitch to Pierre. He looks it right into the mid of Snyder for a strike. And the count 1-1. Dan turns, big right hander hesitates, now drops that breaking ball in there. 1-2 the count. From up here, that looks like that knuckle curve that he throws. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Pierre. Fastball swung on and missed. Foul tipped, actually held by Snyder, and that's that. Dodgers go quietly, and at the end of 3, Dan Herron walks off, leading the Dodgers 5-1. The difference is drinkability. And by your Southern California Ford dealers and the new Ford Advantage plan. 4th inning, 5-1 in favor of the D-backs, and Augie Ojeda leads it off, and a strike. 0-1 to Augie. Fastball sliced to right. Ethier right there. So one away in the fourth inning, and the batter will be Dan Herron, who singled to right in the second inning. 5 runs, 5 hits for the D-backs. 1 run, 1 hit for the Dodgers. Grand slam by Justin Upton and a solo home run by Andre Ethier. That's a strike. 0-1. Herron 6'5", so you get a pretty good strike zone. And ground ball by the diving Loney. So Herron, with a base hit his first time up, comes right back with another. So a fellow who was that utility player at Pepperdine, who played a lot of positions and loved to hit, is 2 for 2 tonight. 6 hits now for the D-backs. Of course, Herron had the reputation of being a pretty good hitter, and with his 2 hits tonight, he now has a half a dozen. So he's no slouch with the bat. And here is Felipe Lopez, single to left, single to right, hitting .313, and a very consistent switch hitter. He came into the game hitting .306 right-handed and .305 left-handed. 1 ball and no strikes. Chopper wide at third. Blake goes down to Hudson. Orlando will double him at first, and that's that. So no runs, 1 hit, nobody left, and at the end of 3.5 innings, 5-1 Arizona. Tonight, we all know what a great job Jonathan Broxton has done coming out of the Dodger bullpen. But besides Broxton, who has been the Dodgers' most valuable relief pitcher? Would you say Ramon Troncoso, Ronald Belisario, or Corey Wade? Text your answer 86212 on your cell. It'll be good to find out what you think. 5-1 D-backs. Dan Herron on the base paths as Lopez hit into a double play, so he took his time getting out to the mound. Rafael Furcal, Orlando Hudson, and James Loney will be coming up. If you joined us late, on 2 singles and a walk, D-backs had the bases loaded, nobody out in the first inning and got 1. And then in the second inning, with the bases loaded and 2 out, no sooner than we had mentioned that Justin Upton had never hit a grand slam in his young career, boom, he hit one into the bleachers in left center, and it's 5-1. Andre Ethier counted with a home run. So into the fourth we go. Furcal, Hudson, and Loney. Rafael grounded out to Reynolds, the first baseman tonight. On the corner, and a strike. 0-1. for call, hitting .251 with a home run and 11 runs batted in. One ball and one strike. Dan Haren has allowed just the hit, the home run by Ethier. He's gotten everybody else. Foul back. So Haren started off retiring 5 in a row, gave up the home run, and has turned around to retire the next 4 in a row. One and two to Raphael. Fastball just missed. He hits 91 on the gun. 2-2. Off speed, hit wide. Reynolds up with it, feeding Haren coming over. Nice play. One away. The batter now will be Orlando Hudson. Hudson playing against his old team last night. Walked and doubled. Went 1 for 3. Struck out in the first inning on a good fastball. And right up there with Miguel Tejada. Number of hits, 71. Strike, outside corner, 0-1. Jake Peavy started against Philadelphia tonight and had to leave at the end of 1 inning of viral upper respiratory infection. Headline cuts all of that down and says the flu. So for Peavy, going 1 inning, the shortest stint of his career, and the Phillies jumped on him for 4 runs in the very first inning. 1-1. 1-2. Remember, Philadelphia will be here for a 4-game series. Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and Sunday evening. 1-2. 2-2. For Haren, it's interesting as James Loney waits on deck. Dan goes to his windup and absolutely stops for a split second right there. That's the pitch he struck Hudson out on, but in the previous bat he got the corner. This time he missed. Here's that hesitation, just holds everything for a moment. That, of course, is to stay back rather than just get your arm out in front. Off speed, popped up, and it'll be Ryan Roberts. So 2 down here in the 4th inning. And the batter will be James Loney. You know, Russell Martin, Steve Garvey, and Ron Say invite you to swing for the fences under the lights at Dodger Stadium June the 15th. You can take batting practice on the field, take photos with the Dodger trio, and get free autographs as well. Space limited, so buy at Dodgers.com/underthelights or call 323-224-2646. Russell Martin a spectator tonight. Loney grounded out in the 2nd inning. 1 ball and no strikes. And that's fouled away. So 1-1 to count to James Loney. Loney last year hit 13 home runs, and the year before 15. So off to a slow start. At the pace he's gone, he'll wind up hitting 6 this year. Foul ball into the crowd beyond the Dodger dugout. 1-2 to James Loney. James' father was a college player, and Loney actually was a very fine pitcher when he was in high school. They said he had a good fastball anywhere from 88 to 93 in high school. And see you later as the fastball puts him away. And the Dodgers go very quietly. 7 in a row retired by Herron since Ethier's home run. He leads 5-1. Way car buying should be. And by Corona and Corona Light, official sponsors of the Time Out. Relax responsibly. 5-1 in favor of Arizona as we move to the 5th inning. And Ryan Roberts will start it off. Ryan out of Fort Worth, Texas. Ground ball into the hole, base hit to right field, so he's 2 for 3. And the D-backs now 5 runs and 7 hits against a bothered Randy Wolf. Interesting, too, what Randy has done. He made 23 pitches in the first inning. He made 26 in the second inning. And then suddenly the pieces fell into place. He had a 9-pitch third inning, a 6-pitch fourth inning, and now gives up a base hit. And here's the fellow who burned him, Justin Upton. Walked on a 3-2 pitch in the first inning, and after going way out in front of a changeup, hit the second pitch for a grand slam home run. This time a shot backhanded by Blake. The throw to first, double play. Casey Blake not only backhanding the ball, but then gets up and throws a dart over to first, just in time to double up Ryan Roberts. Fine play for Casey at both ends to catch it and to hurry that thing over to first. So with 2 down, here's Mark Reynolds, grounded out, struck out, 0 for 2, hitting .261. 1 ball and no strike. You'll hear it about ball players as long as you follow the game. You'll hear a manager or coaches, and they always say the same thing about a player like Reynolds. If he would only make contact more, if he would only cut out some of those strikeouts. This time he fouls out to Orlando Hudson, and they will help the old dog out of the box. Fine play by Orlando on the heels of a wonderful play by Casey Blake. Over he goes, but he's okay. And it's 5-1 D-backs, 4-pitch inning for Randy Wolf. Bottom of the fifth inning, a rather extraordinary brief inning in the fifth when you think about it. You just don't see a 4-pitch inning very often. But Roberts singled to right, then Upton lined into the double play, and Reynolds fouled out to Orlando. So the pitch count for Randy Wolf, 9 pitches in the third inning, 6 pitches in the fourth, and only 4 pitches in the fifth. However, put it all together, he's down 5-1. Dodgers will have Blake, Ethier, and Kemp. Ball 1. One ball and no strikes. That's in there. Casey grounded to third in the second inning, batting .298, 9 home runs, 33 runs batted in. And a line drive right at third, so turnabout is fair play. Line drive at Roberts, 1 down. You know, you can get Dodger discounts on your mobile phone all season long. Texting Dodgers Ticks to 65246 throughout the year. You'll receive special offers to watch the Dodgers. You can also customize your mobile alerts with news, game summaries, scores, and more at Dodgers.com/mobile. Here is Ethier. He crushed one in the second inning. 0-1. Andre hitting .259, 7 home runs, 31 runs batted in. Dan Herron has retired 8 in a row since Ethier's home run. And this time Andre whacks it to the bullpen gate, and it'll bounce in for a double. So that line drive hit by Casey Blake at Ryan Roberts is followed by the long double, and the batter will be Matt Kemp. So Andre having a couple of really good rips at Dan Herron. One hopper into the seats. And the batter now Matt Kemp, who struck out in the second inning. You know, the double by Andre Ethier brings up a point about the key to Dodger success. Certainly one of them would be Dodger outfielders. The collection of Dodger outfielders, first in the major leagues with a .314 batting average, first in the National League in extra base hits, they have 70, first in the major leagues with RBIs, first on base percentage, and second in the major leagues in slugging. So the Dodger outfielders have really carried the offense. One reason why they are where they are. And ball 2. Jeff Weaver gets up in the Dodger bullpen. If they get down to Randy Wolf and they have something going, obviously Joe Torre is thinking hitter. So Randy watching this with great interest. After 8 no decisions, he came in with a record of 3-1. Boy, the location is great. Running that one just on the outside corner. Herron, when you think about it, has had only one hiccup this year. He had one bad game in Oakland. He went 7 innings, allowed 4 home runs, 5 earned runs. Otherwise, he's been wonderful. Another breaking ball. If you throw out that game against Oakland, his other 9 starts, ERA of 2.1. He struggled here in the past. He'd 1 and 2. His earned run average almost 7 at Dodger Stadium prior to tonight. 2 and 2 to Matt Kemp. And that's a fly ball to center, but Young is there. Going back to tag is Ethier, but he's not going anywhere. Strong throw into Ojeda. So Kemp a fly ball, 2 down. And the batter is Brad Ausmus. Osmus grounded to third in the third inning. Five one Arizona, bottom of the fifth. That's a strike. 0-1. Osmus 0 for 1 in his 8th start. He has hit safely in each of the previous 7. Brad in his 17th year in the big league. 17. Off the plate. So it's like having an extra coach on the field. One ball and one strike. Now back. Hard slider that time. Osmus just did get a little bit of it. Two and two the count. Dan Herron trying for his 5th win. He's 4-4. Fouled away. Brad Osmus was originally selected by the Yankees out of Dartmouth 22 years ago. Never made it to the Yankees. First came up to the Padres in 1993. And after 4 years with the Padres, he had 1 year with the Tigers, 2 with the Astros, went back to the Tigers for 2 years, and then from 2001 through last year, 9 seasons more with the Astros. He was a government major, was Brad Osmus, at Dartmouth. I'm not sure whether he finally got it or not. He was about 5 courses shy of his degree in political science. So Brad Osmus, 40 years old on the 14th of April. Three and two. Breaking ball and a fly ball to Chris Young. That will be that. So no runs, a hit, and that's it at the end of 5-1 D-backs. Babe Ruth finally hung it up. He was a member of the Boston Braves, not the Red Sox and not the Yankees. Week before, May 25th, he hit 3 home runs at Forbes Field, one in the lower deck, one in the upper deck, and then his last home run, they said it went about 600 feet over the roof at Forbes Field. That was the way for the Bambino to say goodbye. Let's go back to this one. Still 5-1 in favor of Arizona. Eric Burns, Chris Young, and Chris Snyder coming up. And that's lifted. First base, James Loney. One away. So Randy Wolf coming off a 4-pitch inning. And Eric Burns swings at the first pitch and pops it up. However, we'll see as to whether Randy Wolf is going to be around much longer. He's due to lead off when the Dodgers hit in the 6th. Chris Young, fly to center, grounded to third, 0 for 2. Strike, fastball at the knees. When Babe Ruth hung it up, I think he was hitting less than 200. Yeah, he was hitting 181. He had 6 home runs and 12 RBIs. What did he do when he hung him up? I guess it was kind of sad, really. High fly ball, Pierre. 2 down. And the batter will be Chris Snyder. The Babe spent the rest of his brief life as a traveling sideshow, kind of barnstorming, dealing with the disappointment and frustration of the Yankees' refusal to give him a shot at managing. He did coach briefly for the Brooklyn Dodgers and then died from throat cancer at the age of 53 in 1948 in New York City. His body laid in state at Yankee Stadium for 2 days, and they say his body was visited by more than 100,000 fans. The Babe. George Herman Babe Ruth. If you're ever in Baltimore, there's a small museum not too far from the ballpark dedicated to Babe Ruth. 0-2 to Snyder, 5-1 Arizona. We're in the 6th. Slow curveball. Rafael for call. Plenty of time. So Randy Wolf burned by that grand slam, yet to recover, and at the end of 5.5 innings, 5-1 Arizona. On KCAL 9 is brought to you by Lexus and the newly expanded IS line. Now there's one more way to live a little, a lot. Here's a look at how our CarMax text message voting is going. Remember, we asked, besides Jonathan Broxton, who's been the Dodgers' most valuable relief pitcher? Ramon Troncoso, Ronald Belisario, or Corey Wade? Right now, 68% of you say Ramon Troncoso, 23% Ronald Belisario, and 9% Corey Wade. Remember, text your answer to 86212 on your cell. Jamie Hoffman comes off the Dodger bench and will bat for Randy Wolf, and that's ball one. Interesting for Randy, the last 12 outs, in other words 4 innings, have come on a total of 26 pitches. The last inning, only 7 pitches. However, the bad news, all 7 hits for Arizona came on either the first pitch or the second pitch. And, of course, the grand slam by Upton was hit on the second pitch. Hoffman in a hole, 1-2 to Jamie. 1 home run, 7 RBIs, hitting .188. Two and two. So Hoffman followed by Pierre and then Furcal. Wolf went 6, allowed 5 runs, 7 hits. Ground ball down to Felipe Lopez. 1 away. Dodgers have 2 hits. Andre Ethier has both of them, a home run and a double. And the batter Juan Pierre flied to center and struck out. Aaron gets on a roll. He started off retiring 5 in a row, gave up the home run, retired 8 in a row, gave up the double, and now has retired 3 in a row. And Jeff Weaver again up in the Dodger bullpen. Strike to Pierre. 0-1. Game 2 of the 3-game series. Chad Billingsley and John Garland tomorrow night. Dodgers are in a stretch of 17 games. Little Augie Ojeda will take care of them. So far, they have played 11 of the 17, and their record 6-5.
Number 15, Rafael Furcal.
Rafael Furcal will be coming up. Grounded out twice, 0 for 2. What is interesting, too, as we mentioned way back at the start of the game, the Dodgers began the year, as you know, 13-0 at home. Since then, Matt Kemp and company have struggled at home. They've won 5, they've lost 6, and they're in danger of losing their 7th tonight. Oh, and 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Dan Herron trying to get above the 500 mark. He is 4-4. Drop that in nicely. 1-2. Fouled away off third, way upstairs. So Furcal still battling on a 1-2 count, and Dan Herron making him battle. Herron has struck out 4 and has not walked anybody. So Furcal kind of shaking his head. Herron with very good stuff. And you know he's going to be right around the plate. 75 strikeouts and only 9 walks. 1-2. 2-2. So he has a lot of pitches. He mixes them all up. and never comes back in the same spot twice. And boy, you talk about being overmatched on that at bat. For call, down he goes. 5 strikeouts for Dan Herron, and at the end of 6, 5-1 Arizona. Toyota dealers. Toyota, moving forward. And by Tecate Light. Arizona leading the Dodgers 5-1. They scored 1 in the first inning, and a grand slam home run by Justin Upton put the Dodgers in a hole from which they have not been able to recover yet. And they go to Jeff Weaver now after Randy Wolf wins 6. Weaver, big man at 6'5", out of Northridge and Simi Valley, went to Fresno State. He was originally signed as a #1 pick by the Detroit Tigers. He went from the Tigers to the Yankees to the Dodgers, then to the Angels, the Cardinals, the Mariners, and back to the Dodgers again. And he'll be facing Augie Ojeda, Dan Herron, and Felipe Lopez. Weaver 2-1. He'd made 3 starts, and this would be his 6th relief assignment. Ojeda popped up and flied to right, but he'll turn around now and hit left-handed. And a strike. Augie hitting .262. One ball and 1 strike. Augie had a left quad bruise. Hurt him earlier. He had a stretch, hitting safely 9 out of 12. Handy guy to have around. 1-2. So Jeff Weaver trying to hold that Tiger. All the damage done in the first 2 innings. Dodgers only have 2 hits. Andre Ethier has a home run, and Andre Ethier has a double, and that's it. Dodgers have not had a rally. Nothing. Herron has just been marvelous. L1 hopper for call. Ready to gun it over there. 1 away. So Dan Herron, who is 2 for 2 with the bat, he's having an absolutely wonderful evening. He has as many hits as the Dodgers have. Dan wants a new ball, and C.B. Buckner will put a new one in play. One out, 7th inning, 5-1 Arizona. Herron with 2 hits tonight, so he's had 4 career multi-hit games, and the other 3 last year. 0-1. Of course, Herron spent 3 years with the Athletics, 05, 6, and 7. He did have 14 games with the Cardinals, but basically he was an American League pitcher. Did not get very many at-bats except interleague play, but since he's come over to the National League, he's a handy guy to have. 0-2 the count. Poke foul. Aaron on the mound has made a total of 93 pitches in his 6 innings. Oh, 0-2. Sidearm mean pitch away. Always remember Roy Campanella. He would talk about a pitcher doing that to you, and he would say that gives you the jelly leg, meaning your left leg. Pretty hard to stay in there when that 6'5" pitcher comes the other way. And there's the 3rd hit for Herron on a slider. Boy. So he hit over 300 as that utility player in Pepperdine, and now he is 3 for 3
Second
tonight.
baseman, Felipe Lopez.
Wow. Probably open up a hitting school as Felipe Lopez comes up, and he'll turn around now to bat left-handed. Felipe single to left, single to right, hit into a double play, hitting .311. Hit number 1 against Weaver, number 8 for Arizona. That's ball 1. Going back through the books, they tell me that Dan Herron had a 3-hit game last September against the Colorado Rockies. Fastball, 2-0. So any way you cut it, Dan Herron's a pretty good hitter. And a darn good pitcher. Foul ball. Upstairs, second level. 2-1 the count to Felipe. I always marvel at his sideburns. They're not really sideburns. He must be a very patient man when he shaves. Probably needs a ruler. Isn't that something? Fouled away. 2-2. We've mentioned it before, talking about Felipe and the way he might shave, and talking about Roy Campanella. Roy Campanella used to shave with a tongue depressor. Yeah, you know, when you go to the doctor, the wooden tongue depressor, say ah, that's what he shaved with. He would take a depilatory, what the ladies would use to take the hair off their legs. Campy would put the depilatory on his face, then he would take the wooden tongue depressor and scrape it off, and the beard came off with it. And I said to him, why don't you use regular shaving cream? And he said, no, this is better on my skin for the mask on my face. Well, one thing, you're not going to cut yourself with a tongue depressor. 3-2 to Felipe Lopez. Herron with 1 out. He's not going to run. That's fouled off. Lopez really just protecting the plate with 2 strikes. He has struck out 30 times. We mentioned last time he's really consistent. 306 right, 305 left. 3-2. Pretty good fastball. It appeared to have some sink at the end of it, so he had 2 down. Schedule for the next couple of days, you ought to take a look at it. Tomorrow night, Chad Billingsley and John Garland on Prime Ticket. Then here come the champs, the Phillies. It'll be Cole Hamels and Clayton Kershaw. And Friday, Jamie Moyer and Eric Milton. Talking about the Phillies, they are leading the Padres 8-1 in the top of the seventh. Pitchers congregating: Billingsley, Kershaw, and Kuroda. Strike. Ryan Roberts single to right, fouled out to first, single to right again. 2 for 3. Fastball missed. 1-1. When the Dodgers come up in the bottom of the seventh inning, it'll be Hudson, Loney, and Blake. Two and one. Boy, Weaver leaning by way of third and then throwing a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. That takes a lot to hang in there. Whoa. 2-2. That was a 93-mile-an-hour fastball, but he came over the top. So Jeff changing pitch, changing arm angle. Then he goes 2-2. And that's foul back and out of play. Ryan Roberts. Arizona has the happy numbers to indicate when Roberts starts in a game, they win. But he doesn't start too often. Ryan was a big man on campus at the University of Texas Arlington. Little number foul. We mentioned last night, and it's pretty obvious when you're looking at him, that Ryan Roberts has a lot of tattoos adorning his body. He has his initials on his left arm, RR, and the words under it, "Only the strong survive." That's his outlook on life and baseball. And he can play just about anywhere. He's listed as a second baseman, a shortstop, a third baseman, an outfielder, and a catcher. Hard ground ball, Blake down to Orlando. So no runs, one hit, a man left at the end of 6.5. 5-1. D-backs in the crowd now will be asked to stand to join in the And nobody out in the first inning. The D-backs picked up one on a ground ball. And then in the second inning, Justin Upton hit a grand slam home run, and that pretty much put them out in front 5-0. Andre Ethier homered to make it 5-1, but Ethier has the only 2 hits, a home run and a double. So into the 7th inning we go, and it's nice to see Nancy B. and her husband Bill Heffley being saluted on the message board, celebrating their 52nd wedding anniversary. Yeah, that's great. We mentioned and saluted Nancy B. and Bill at the very start of the game, and here we are in the 7th. Hudson, Loney, and Blake. Dan Herron has been magnificent. 5 strikeouts, no walks, just 2 hits and 1 run, and he has done the job so far on 93 pitches. Ball 1. Hudson struck out and lined out. He is 2 for 12 against Herron. 2-0. I think Dan has had 1 3-ball count, but no walks. 2-0. Three and 0 the count. So he's getting up close to 100 pitches. And we start looking at what he has done in the past. Well, he's had 2, 4, 5. He's had 8 100-pitch games. The highest pitch count, 113 last time out. And there it is, his first walk of the night. So you wonder if that's his first crack in the armor. And James Loney coming up.
Number 7, James Loney.
Mel Stottlemyre Jr. going out to counsel Herron. I still can't get over the fact that walk gives him 10 walks allowed as opposed to 75 strikeouts. Mel's dad, of course, was a famous pitcher and then pitching coach for the Yankees. His brother Todd, a fine pitcher in his own right. And Mel Jr., the coach. And the batter is James Loney. Loney is 0 for 2 tonight. He is 5 for 18 against Herron. Herron hasn't had to pitch out of the stretch, except for on the heels of Ethier's double. He got Kemp and Ausmus. So we'll see how he does out of the stretch against Loney and then Blake. 1 ball, no strikes. One and 1. Loney hitting .282, 2 home runs, 38 runs batted in. Whoa, is he late on that fastball? One reason it was clocked at 93. Kind of looking back, yeah, I'd stick your tongue out at that one. 1 and 2. And one good fastball deserves another. So that is strikeout number 6 for Dan Herron.
Third baseman.
Loney had only struck out 21 times. So fastballs did the damage. Daniel Schlereth, a left-hander, begins to throw just in case down there in the Arizona bullpen. Herron has gone 9 innings once, 8 innings twice, and he is in the 7th inning right now. Casey Blake is 0 for 2. Blake 10 for 28 against Herron. in the dirt, goes to the backstop, and on the wild pitch, down to second goes Hudson. For Dan Herron, that would be his third wild pitch this year. A little contagious after seeing 5 of them last night. And again, just like Russell Martin, Chris Snyder tried to catch it right out of the textbook. Couldn't do it. One and one to count to Casey Blake. Good fastball. 1-2. Casey made a fine defensive play in the 5th inning. Backhanding a line drive by Upton, then getting up and double up Roberts at first base. That's a strike. The Herron with fastballs. And down around the knees after giving up the walk. Just drilling that zone. And he strikes out Loney and Blake. So that gives him 7 strikeouts. In checking his work this year, he struck out 10 Cubs and came right back and struck out 11 Brewers. Well, he can do it. He has struck out as many as 12. Did that last year. So here's the only man to really give him a hard time tonight, Andre Ethier. Homered to right, doubled to right. Dodgers get only their second man to second base in Hudson. One ball and no strikes to Andre. Ball and 1. Arizona boy going up against Arizona. For Dan Herron, this next pitch that he will make will be his 108th pitch, which means 15 pitches here in the 7th inning. Stottlemyre, pinch, watching him carefully now. Off speed and dropped it in there. 1-2. So after all those good fastballs to Loney and Blake, took something off the breaking ball and dropped that in. Ethier hanging tough. 1-2. Tomorrow night, Chad Billingsley and John Garland. Billingsley with a record of 6-3. Garland with a record of 4-4. And then the Phillies will come in. Clayton Kershaw will go up against the Philly ace, Cole Hamels. And then 2 veterans, Eric Milton, will go up against Jamie Moyer. 1-2 to Andre Ethier. Fastball hit wide at first. Reynolds kicks it, recovers, throws, gets him. For the Dodgers in the 7th, no runs, no hits, 1 walk, 1 left. And at the end of 7, 5-1 Arizona. Question. Besides Jonathan Broxton, who's been the Dodgers' most valuable relief pitcher? Ramon Troncoso, Ronald Belisario, or Corey Wade? And 69% of you said, without a doubt, Ramon Troncoso. And that's for the first third of the season. Tonight marking exactly that juncture, 54th game. 5-1 D-backs. It's been that way since the end of the second inning. Jeff Weaver in relief of Randy Wolf. And it'll be Upton, Reynolds, and Burns. Upton with the biggest hit of the night, the grand slam home run. Strike. Justin walked in the first inning, hit the slam in the second, hit a bullet in the fifth, and Blake made a fine play to make the out and double up the runner Roberts. 1-1 to Justin, hitting .324, 10 home runs, 33 runs batted in. 21 years old, and for Dan Herron, 110 pitches later, he is 6 outs away. Big sidearm breaking ball. 1-2. From the looks of things, Herron is resting, but he is far from being through. And of course, for a local boy who has struggled here at Dodger Stadium, 1-2 in his career, boy, he has just turned in a gem tonight. For Justin Upton, remember, way out in front of a changeup, and the second pitch he hit into the bleachers for his first grand slam of his career. And he will hit a few before he hangs them up. 1-2. Over the top fastball, hit sharply. Loney will have to do it himself, and does. Weaver was late getting over there. A good play by James Loney indeed.
How about him? First baseman Mark Reynolds.
Loney with a slide, just beating just in time, huh? Good play. 1 out in the 8th. Usually a veteran pitcher like Weaver would have been on the move as soon as that ball was hit to the right side, but Jeff deeply engrossed, and it had to be Loney or else. Ball 1. Mark Reynolds grounded to third, struck out, fouled out, 0 for 3. Reynolds is 0 for 6 in the series, and without him, the D-backs are trying to win their first 2 games. One and 1 to count. One and 2. Last night we had 32,304. Tonight we have 32,853. A little more than 500 more tonight. Hope you'll be with us tomorrow night. Chad Billingsley and John Garland. 1-2. Fastball got him. Boom. So Reynolds strikes out twice tonight. That would give him 74 strikeouts. Remember last year he struck out 200.
Number 22, Eric Burns.
And that'll bring up Eric Burns. So Weaver picks up his second strikeout. Burns reached on a fielder's choice that resulted in a rundown, getting Roberts between third and home in the first inning. Since then, Eric fouled out and popped up, and this time a ground ball base hit.
Diamondback center fielder Chris Young.
So Burns a base hit, and that'll bring up Chris Young, who is 0 for 3. Now with 2 out, Burns would be a threat to go. He has stolen 6 out of 9. And the first thing Brad Ausmus did was point to first to remind Jeff Weaver that Burns likes to run. Young, meanwhile, fly to center, grounded to third, fly to left, 0 for 3. And Weaver only had to be reminded once. Burns, who stole as many as 50 2 years ago and 25 the year before, saddled with a bad hamstring last year, so he didn't play much. And he had just 4 stolen bases, but he has a half a dozen now. They're worrying about him because they expect him to go, really, with 2 out here in the 8th inning. Remember, too, Arizona in the month of May stole 28 bases. The Hinch goes to the whip, and we'll see if they run him now. Well, Weaver certainly thinks so. 2 out, 8th inning. When the Dodgers come up in the bottom half, Matt Kemp, Brad Ausmus, and then Weaver spot. And a strike. 0-1. Young hitting 171. 0 for 4 last night, 0 for 3 tonight, 0 for 7, and hitting about a half a buck on the road. And promptly smokes it to center for a base hit. So Burns stops at second, and Kemp dropped it, and by the time he picks it up, Burns is into third on the error. So a 2 out single by Burns, followed by a 2 out single by Young. The error sending Burns to third. Eric takes one look and just keeps on digging. So first and third, 2 out, and Chris Snyder coming up. Young has stolen 4 out of 6. Snyder, meanwhile, is 0 for 2 with a walk. When he walked in the second inning, that was the beginning of that 4-run inning. And one reason that it was really the beginning, because that was a 10-pitch at bat when he was battling Randy Wolf. The walk began it, and the grand slam just about ended it. Mentioned earlier about what a fine defensive catcher that Chris Snyder is, that he had gone over 120 some odd games without an error. Well, the fellas looked it up. The last time Chris Snyder made an error, August the 20th, 2007. That's over 170 games ago. Before that, he went another 92 without an error. So over a stretch of 262 games, he made 1 error. Wow. There goes the run of Young, the pitch, and a fake by Ausmus, but Burns holding his ground. So Young steals second. 2-1 the count to Snyder with Augie Ojeda on deck. Snyder hitting .235, and they're going after him. Time. Big boy from Houston, Chris Snyder, 28 years old. That's in there. 2-2. Chris, 5 home runs, 17 runs batted in. Two balls and 2 strikes. Burns at third, Young at second, 2 out, so the deuces are wild. Ground ball to for call, plenty of time with Snyder. That's that. So no runs, 2 hits, an error, 2 left. And at the end of 7.5, D-backs 5, Dodgers 1. And he gave up 4 hits, and it wound up for 2 runs. The bullpen for Arizona has really been dramatic. The last 4 games prior to last night, the pen had an earned run average of 1. The 4 games before that, they had an earned run average of 10. So then Pena came in and gave up 2 runs and the 4 hits, and finally get the last out. So they bring him right back in tonight. Tony Pena, who, as we mentioned, was the player to be named later, because when they first signed him, they signed him to another name. Pena from the Dominican Republic. Originally, they thought he was named Adriano Rosario. 1 ball and no strikes to Matt Kemp. Struck out, fly to center, 0 for 2. Then Brad Osmus and a hitter. Last night, by the way, Pena made 28 pitches, so he labored. 1-0. Fastball whacked into left center. Let's see what Kemp does as it's picked up in left field, and Burns gets it back in. So after giving up 4 hits last night in the 9th inning, Pena gives up a base hit to the first man in the 8th inning tonight. And the batter will be Brad Osmus. And Mark Loretta will come out on deck to bat for Jeff Weaver. Osmus grounded to third, fly to center. Brad 0 for 2, and Loretta getting ready on deck. Fastball for ball 1. Down in the bullpen, the left-hander Daniel Claret begins to loosen up a second time. Five runs, 10 hits for the D-backs, 1 run, 3 hits for the Dodgers. Dodgers can't say They didn't hit in the clutch. There's been no clutch. They've only left 2 men on base. And a crack bat, little pop fly, and Lopez right there. So Kemp holding with 1 out. And the batter now will be Loretta. Loretta, who has been such a successful pinch hitter.
Loretta.
He's 8 for 20. That's a 400 batting average. Not only 5 walks, but only 2 strikeouts in 25 pinch hitting appearances. And by the way, the 8 hits leading the major leagues. 8 pinch hits. So Loretta checks in for Weaver. The second Dodger pinch hitter, Jamie Hoffman, grounded out back in the 6th. Fastball for a strike. Down in the Dodger bullpen, Travis Schlichting, called up from Chattanooga, begins to loosen up for the Dodgers. Jeff Weaver giving way. 0-1 to Mark Loretta. Foul back. 0-2. Weaver, while he was in there, gave up 3 hits, no run. Jeff turned in 2 good innings. Now gives way to Loretta. The Dodgers tried a notch by Herron, trying to do something against Tony Pena. 0-2. Fastball, and he just blew him away. You come off the bench and the guy throws 95. Wow. Take a look at this. Just threw it right by him. So 2 down here in the 8th inning. And the batter will be Juan Pierre. Pierre singled last night against Pena. Loretta made the last out of the game last night against Pena. Fastball, ground ball into right field. Kemp takes a look, and he's going to go to third. The throw to third, he is just in there. Boy, that was a dangerous play with 2 out, 8th inning, and you're down by 4. But Kemp running, and Upton made a strong throw, and Matt Kemp just did get away with it. But that was a big, big risk. That close. So Kemp always aggressive on the base paths anyway. And for Juan Pierre, he goes 1 for 4. Upton making a good play. And Kemp got away with really a bad gamble. So Pierre at first, Kemp is at third, and the batter, Rafael Furcal. Furcal 0 for 3. Grounded out twice, struck out. Last night, he singled against Pena in the 9th inning. And a strike. Pena has his hands full. Not just Kemp at third, but of course Pierre, a definite threat over there at first. Juan Pierre has stolen 11 out of 15. Oh, and 1. One ball and 1 strike. Pena is 6'1", about 220. Probably gained about 25 pounds since he first signed his professional contract. First and third, 2 out. Dodgers down 5-1, bottom of the 8th. 2-1. In looking at Pena's numbers, he's 5-2. ERA of 1.7. And his strikeout to walk ratio is a little better than 3-1. The only thing, he's allowed more hits than innings pitched. And ball 3. Orlando Hudson waiting on deck. Two out, 3-1 the counter for call. Pierre short lead, Kemp down the line from third. Pierre not going, and that's ball 4 to load him up. So A.J. Hinch brings in Pena, and he's on for another tough, you could read his lips, get the ball up. So the bases are loaded for Orlando Hudson. So Pena, who had such a very shaky 9th inning last night, comes right back and has a very shaky 8th inning tonight. Last night, when he came in, Dodgers scored twice and lost 3-2. Pena right now has a 4-run cushion, but he's loaded the bases. Orlando Hudson struck out, fouled out, and walked. So the Dodgers with Kemp at third, Pierre at second, for call at first. So they're blessed with speed on the base paths. Pena facing Hudson. Two out. This is the first look the Dodgers have had at the game since the second inning. This is really their only rally. They left a man in the 5th inning. They left a man in the 7th. Now they have some people aboard. 1-0 to Hudson, batting .329. And almost got it. 2-0. It was also almost a wild pitch. Pena has one wild pitch. The closer for Arizona is Chad Qualls, but he's had a stiff arm. Orlando has one grand slam. He hit it against the Cubs. And ball 3. A.J. Hinch might be 35, but Pena's going to make him a lot older in a hurry. The Hudson with the count his way, 3-0. James Loney is on deck. Kemp's at third. Pierre at second. And for call at first. So the Dodgers now trail 5-2. Bases remain loaded for James Loney, and that will be all for Tony Pena. Daniel Schlereth down in the pen will be called in as A.J. Hinch goes out to the mound, and we'll be back. You may remember the NFL offensive lineman Mark Schlereth, who has 3 Super Bowl rings and is now an ESPN football analyst, sometimes a college baseball analyst.
Number 7,
Daniel is 6'1", about 210. Daniel was a pretty good prep quarterback, broke the school's rushing record. He wound up going to the University of Arizona. 7th round pick by the Oakland A's, but he opted to go to Arizona instead. Made a big jump. I mean, he was a number 1 pick by the D-backs last year, and here he is pitching in the big league. Basically a 2-seam fastball. He has a curveball. He has kind of a cutter slider pitch and a changeup. He had Tommy John surgery. Have you heard that before? He missed his freshman year at the University of Arizona with Tommy John surgery. And with all of that, here he is pitching in the big leagues against the most successful hitter in the bases loaded for the last 2 years, James Loney. Loney tonight grounded out and struck out twice against Dan Herron. Well, Pierre Furcal and Hudson are out there. 5-2 Arizona. Fastball popped in the air, foul, very doubtful, no play. Right in his hat. Way to go. Yeah, you should get a high five. 0-1 to count to James Loney. James hitting .280. He has Pierre at third, Furcal at second, and Hudson the tying run at first. Schlereth in June strained a tricep muscle. Had to give it up for a while, so he's had his arm problems even though he's just starting out. 1-1. And a drive into the gap in right center and deep. On his horse is Young against the wall. Can't make the play. Here comes Pierre. Here comes Furcal. Here comes Hudson. And the Dodgers have tied it up 5-5. Boy, is that James Loney something with the bases loaded? Remarkable. Chris Young almost took it away from him, but not quite. Well, James drives in 3, so near and yet so far for Hinch and for Young and for Schlereth. And now here's Casey Blake after a 4-run inning trying to pick up Loney and get the Dodgers in front. Strike. 4 runs in the inning are charged to Tony Pena. It's 5-5 in the 8th. Blake has grounded out, lined out, and struck out. And that's going to go to the backstop. And down to third goes Loney. For Schlereth, his first strikeout, first wild pitch. Everything he does now is almost his first. So a go-ahead run after trailing 5-1 since the second inning. The Dodgers have tied it up here in the 8th and are 90 feet away from taking the lead. For Dan Herron, a nightmare, and for Randy Wolf, his 9th no decision. Fastball away, 2-1. Tony Pena, 2 bad relief assignments last night and again tonight. Of course, that's the problem when you have your closer injured. Chad Qualls would be the man normally asked to get the last couple of outs. Off speed, and he missed. 3-1 to count. On deck, Andre Ethier. A single by Kemp, and then 2 outs later. Pierre singles for Call and Hudson walk, and Loney clears the bases with a double. 3-1 to Casey Blake. And line drive, base hit, and the Dodgers lead, believe it or not, 6-5. Getting a hero's welcome in the dugout as the Dodgers down 5-0 at the end of an inning and a half. Now lead 6-5. They have hung a high 5 here in the 8th inning. So the batter now, Andre Ethier, ball 1. When the D-backs come up in the 9th inning, they will face Jonathan Broxton, and they are due to send up Augie Ojeda, the pitcher spot, and Felipe Lopez. Fastball to the backside, and his second wild pitch. The Schlereth struggling way inside. Arizona bullpen, which can be pretty good and can be awful. Right now they're struggling under that last turn. 2-0. And a broken bat, little pop fly, caught by Augie Ojeda. Great play. That saved another run. However, the Dodgers come up with 5. James Loney, with the bases loaded, just does get one by the glove of Chris Young, and 3 runs scored. Pierre for Call and Hudson, and the Dodgers have turned it around at the end of 8 and lead 6-5. James Loney is equal to the occasion. Is there a better hitter around with the bases loaded than James? Wow. Loney clears him. The Dodgers add another. And now Jonathan Broxton has to shut down the D-backs. It'll be Augie Ojeda to lead it off. Broxton with a almost 4-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio and that perfect 5-0 record. Trying for his 12th save. Trying to give Jeff Weaver the win. Ojeda is 0 for 3. Popped up, flied to right, grounded out. Hitting left-handed against Broxton is rather scary. The odds are way against you, at least up to this part of the year. Ball one. Left-hand batters are hitting .071 against Broxton. That's 3 for 42. Ojeda is a switch hitter, so he could bat right-handed if he so desired, but he's going to go left. Ojeda is 0 for 4 against Broxton in the past. Just off the plate. Pretty good discipline by Augie Ojeda to take that pitch. Dodgers 6 runs, 6 hits. The D-backs 5 runs, 10 hits. Two and 0. And ball 3. Augie trying to get aboard Gerardo Parra, who started last night and was 1 for 3 plus a walk on deck. 3-0. Down the pipe, 3-1. And another strike. 3-2. Broxton is 11 for 13 in save opportunities. That takes him 9th in the league with 11. Made only 2 appearances on the road trip in the finale of both series. 1 in Colorado, 1 in Chicago. Fastball fouled away. Augie Ojeda trying to make things tough on him. He's 5'8", though he doesn't give you much of a strike zone anyway. Ojeda last night, you may remember, doubled into the gap in right center as a pinch hitter. 3-2. And a ground ball to Hudson. 1 out in the 9th inning. Dodgers leading 6-5. Gerardo Parra will now come up and bat for Schlereth. Parra started in left field last night. Grounded out and walked, struck out, singled, and scored a run. In fact, Parra scored a run set up on a wild pitch last night. Remember, there were 5 of them, and he scored on a force play, and that turned out to be the difference. That was the run that beat the Dodgers. Parra hitting .319. And the strike. Parra's from the Dominican, signed as a free agent by Arizona 5 years ago. Oh and 1. 0-2. Parra was up They sent him back to Mobile, and then they brought him back up again. Parra is only 22 and just turned that in May. Crowd wants every pitcher strike. 1-2 the count. One out, ninth inning, 6-5 Dodgers. Well, that's the second out. And the batter now with his foot in the door, Felipe Lopez. Bad ball, and Parra went after it. So now Lopez, single to left, single to right, grounded into a double play and struck out. So Broxton trying to close the door. Lopez is 0 for 5 against him with 2 strikeouts. And a strike. Dodgers getting off the floor in the 8th inning to turn the game around, and now 1 out away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Don't forget, tomorrow night, James Loney and club will try it again. Chad Billingsley and John Garland. One and one. Breaking ball, strike. Couple of sliders, and he has the count his way now. 1-2 on Felipe Lopez. Crowd of 32,000 and everybody up. One and two. Got it. A lot of sliders thrown by Big John to take care of Lopez. It took Broxton 15 pitches. It took James Loney 1 swing. And the Dodgers are able to cancel out a grand slam home run by Justin Upton. It was Loney's double that chased in Pierre, chased in Furcal, and chased in Hudson. That evened up the